Uh,
Hi, welcome to the UPM Book Club. We are reading Seize the Time by Bobby Seale, and we are kicking things off today at the section about Huey digs Bob Dylan. Later, we moved to Beverly Axelrod's house to finish the paper. This was about 8 or 9 blocks south of the Hyde-Ashbury district over in San Francisco. It was a nice big house, and we moved over there for room and space and to get things together. We righteously got it together. Eldridge and Barbara Author were pounding out some articles. We called up a white mother country radical photographer, got him together, and asked him to shoot some pictures of Huey because we knew it was necessary for us to try and get a centralized symbol of the leadership of Black people in the Black community. We had to centralize it in some way, so we decided on a picture of Huey. This photographer came over with his cameras and his tripods, and Eldridge set the scene. The photographer took a number of different shots. We got a wicker chair and African shields, and we had a shotgun over there, and Eldridge said, "Take the gun and put the spear here." He artistically put that picture together that everyone sees of Huey P. Newton sitting in the chair with the shotgun and the spear and the shield sitting on each side of the chair. Now, who would have thought Eldridge would make a dope-ass photography director? Check that shit out. I did.
he's badass. He's
Yeah, I
badass as
just
fuck, and
I just shared the exact picture in the chat. That exact picture, that iconic picture of Huey. Yeah, that's that picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
And it
love that.
shows.
It's
It
powerful.
just shows. And it just shows photography can be used in a powerful way. It can be used in a revolutionary way.
Like,
Absolutely.
come on.
That image is inspiring to a lot of revolutionaries. It's fucking beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Same as the iconic picture of Che.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The shields were very important because Huey was articulating that we use the spear in the shield, and the shield is very significant. Huey would say many times that a long, long time ago, there was a man who invented a spear and he frightened a whole lot of people. But, Huey said, the people invented a shield against the spear. The people weren't so frightened after all. So this is really what Huey P. Newton symbolized with the Black Panther Party. He represented a shield for Black people against all the imperialism, the decadence, the aggression, and the racism in this country. That's what Huey P. Newton symbolized with us. That's the way we projected it. The headline of the party paper was "The Truth About Sacramento," because there was so many lies about the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther Party in Sacramento. Lies by the regular mass media, television and radio and the newspapers, those who thought the Panthers were just a bunch of jive, just a bunch of crazy people with guns. Many and Uncle Tom and our backward brainwashed Black men had a misconception about the whole thing when you get down to it. While we were laying that paper out, in the background we could hear a record, and the song was named "Ballad of a Thin Man" by Bob Dylan. Now the melody was in my mind. I actually heard it. I could hear the melody to this record. I could hear the sound and the beat to it, but I didn't really hear the words. This record played after we stayed up laying out the paper, and it played the next night after we stayed up laying out the paper. I think it was about the third or around the third afternoon that the record was playing. We played that record over and over and over. Lots of brothers stayed right over there with a lot of shotguns for security. It was a righteous security in those days. There wasn't any bullshit. Huey P. Newton made me recognize the lyrics. Not only the lyrics of the record, but what the lyrics meant in the record. What the lyrics meant in the history of racism that has perpetuated itself in the world. Huey would say, "Listen, man, listen. Do you hear what he's saying?" Huey had such insight into how racism existed, how racism had perpetuated itself. He had such a way of putting forth in very clear words what he had related directly to those symbolic things or words that were coming out from Bobby Dylan. The point about the geek is very important because this is where Huey hung me. I remember that the song got to the point where he was talking about this cat handing in his ticket, and he walked up to the geek, and the geek handed him a bone. Well, this didn't relate to me, so I said, "Huey, look, wait a minute, man." I said, "What are you talking about a geek? What is a geek? What the hell is a geek?" And Huey explains it. He says, "A geek is usually a circus performer. Maybe he was an experienced trapeze artist who was injured. He's been in the circus all his life and he knows nothing else but circus work. But he can't be a trapeze artist anymore because he's been injured very badly. But he still needs to live. He needs to exist. He needs pay. So the circus feels very sorry for him and they give him a job. They give him the cruddiest kind of job because he's not really good for anything else. They put him into a cage and then people pay a quarter to come in to see him. They put live chickens into the cage and the geek eats the chickens up while they're still alive. The bones, feathers, and all. And of course he has a salary because the audience pays a quarter to see him. He does this because he has to. He doesn't like eating raw meat or feathers, but he does it to survive. But those people who are coming in to see him are coming in for entertainment, so they are the real freaks. And the geek knows this, so during his performance, he eats the raw chicken and he hands one of the members of the audience a bone, because he realizes that they are the real freaks because they get enjoyment by watching what he's doing because he has to. So that's what a geek and a freak is. Is that clear? Then to put it on the broader level, what Dylan is putting across is middle class people or upper class people who sometimes take a Sunday afternoon off and put their whole family into a limousine and they go down to the black ghettos and watch the prostitutes and watch the decaying community. They do this for pleasure, for Sunday afternoon entertainment. Of course, the people are there and they don't want to be there. The prostitutes are there because excuse me, they're trying to live, trying to exist, and they need money. So then that makes the middle class and upper class people who are down there because they get pleasure out of it, freaks. And this goes to into the one-eyed midget. What is the one-eyed midget? He screams and howls at Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones doesn't know what's happening. Then the one-eyed midget says, "Give me some juice or go home." And this again is very symbolic of people who are disadvantaged. They're patronizing Mr. Jones, the middle class people. You know, they're not interested in them coming down for entertainment, but if they'll pay them for a trick, then they'll tolerate them or else they'll drive them out of the ghettos. This song is hell. You've got to understand that this song is saying a hell of a lot about society. The white society and the middle class society are surprised to see that black people will pimp chicks on the block. They come down that way because they looked at black people as freaks. They thought black people were in a big freak bag. They thought they had N-words all figured out, but black people were not even that. Black people were not backward and apathetic. Huey says that whites looked at blacks as geeks, as freaks. But what is so symbolic about it is that when the revolution starts, they'll call us geeks because we eat raw meat. But the geek turns around and hands Mr. Jones a naked bone and says, "How do you like being a freak?" And Mr. Jones says, "Oh my God, what the hell's going on?" And Bobby Dylan says, "You don't know what's happening, do you, Mr. Jones?" And to hand him the naked bone was too much, was really too much. Eldridge Cleaver explains in Soul on Ice, which is also a really good book that we definitely need to add to the reading list, that the black man has been led around by the white man, the white omnipotent administrator primarily. Big businessmen who manipulate and bullshit and control the government. The black man has been led around and was projected as being led around with a little piece of string, cord string, that could be broken in a minute. The string was tied around the black man's neck, and the black man was projected as a big gorilla. He was a gorilla. He was inhuman and he couldn't talk. He's not supposed to be able to think. But the gorilla beats on his chest and says, "I'm a man." One of the symbolic things that Eldridge was pointing out with this thing was that Cassius Clay said, "I'm the greatest." The symbolic thing of him beating on his chest. He said, in fact, "I'm a man." He said, "I'm a strong man." What shocked the racists, what shocked the omnipotent administrator, is that he looked up at the big gorilla. The string had been broken, and he saw this gorilla beating on his chest, saying, "I'm a man." That was Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay would brag. People misunderstood the bragging. All Cassius Clay was saying was that he was defying all this omnipotent racist bullshit by stepping forward and saying, "I'm the greatest. I can't be hit." He beat on his chest, and when he said that, the white racist omnipotent administrator who had a hold on the string had to ask himself, well, if he's a man, then what the hell am I? And that's what Bobby Dylan meant by the geek handing Mr. Jones the naked bone and saying, "How do you like being a freak?" And that's the whole meaning of the question. If he's a man, if he's not a freak, and he tells Mr. Jones that he's a freak, then Mr. Jones has to ask, am I that? That's symbolic of saying that if he's a man, what am I? This song Bobby Dylan was singing became a very big part of that whole publishing operation of the Black Panther paper. And in the background, while we were putting this paper out, this record came up, and I guess a number of papers were published. And many times we would play that record. Brother Stokely Carmichael also liked that record. This record became so related to us, even to the brothers who had held down most of the security for the set. The brothers had some big earphones over at Beverly's house that would sit on your ears and had kind of a direct stereo atmosphere. And when you got loaded, it was something else. These brothers would get halfway high, loaded on something, and they would sit down and play this record over and over and over, especially after they began to hear Huey P. Newton interpret that record. They'd be trying to relate and understanding about what was going on because old Bobby did society a big favor when he made that particular sound. If there's any more he made that I don't understand, I'll just ask Huey P. Newton to interpret them for us. And maybe we can get a hell of a lot more out of Brother Bobby Dylan because old Bobby, he did a good job on that set. Who would like to take a turn reading the next section?
I like to read, if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Conrad.
Also, I find it interesting how the term geek back then meant something completely differently. Because when I think of geek, I just think of it as another way of saying nerd. So
Right.
it's very interesting how the term geek was so different back
Yeah,
then.
I didn't think of it like that either.
Same.
Right. That
geek-
whole explanation there that he just gave, it really just made it register of why geeks and freaks has always been like a coined phrase together, but I never knew it had shit to do with the circus until
Or the
reading this
class.
The
book.
freak shows. The
Yeah.
freak show.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea it had anything to do with a class dynamic. The geek does what he has to survive, but he's called a freak when the actual freaks are the ones that get entertainment for the geek suffering. Very
Right.
interesting.
Right, like the albino twins, the little people, or in this condition, the so-called midgets, anyone that does not abide by the bourgeois
Societal standards.
the bourgeois societal standards, then they are casted as freaks, and especially in human zoos. Like human zoos are a part of it too, because once again, it's that whole principle of not of being like considered the most mysterious of humanity. You know what I'm saying? And the human zoo is a part of it. I mean, the human zoo is still existing. Just look at Angola Penitentiary.
Just in
Still
different forms.
Right.
Exactly.
At that time, it's sad that at that time that circuses were making so much fucking money going and like buying children from families that were in poverty.
Oh yeah.
Circus
Exploiting lumpen children.
Yep. The lowest of
Exploiting
the low,
lumpen
those
children.
that are
Stealing
not
lumpen children.
exploitable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
As exploitable
Exactly.
as possible.
Those that have been kicked. Exactly. Make them as exploitable as possible. Those that have nowhere else to go, that can't be hired by anyone, that machinery.
Yeah, like the mysterious, the weirdly exotic of humanity. That is
Exactly.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean how it's very interesting because another random tidbit, when we see in comic book history, especially whenever we've seen characters that delve in magic, oftentimes they're always portrayed as colonized people, Roma people, and so on and so forth, to like mystify them,
Right.
So it's very interesting. But anyways, I'm gonna read this. Starting time at Big Greystone. After Sacramento, we made a deal. Myself and a few other brothers who had no previous records would serve some time for quote unquote disturbing the peace or something like that. And all the other brothers who were on parole or probation would be cut loose. We weren't guilty of anything, but we made that deal to save the other brothers from going to state prison. Warren Tucker and I served the longest sentences, 6 months each. After, at first, they had me in Sacramento County Jail, but later they transferred me to the Ala, Alameda, Alameda,
Alameda.
Alameda,
Alameda. Yeah.
Alameda, Alameda County Jail at Santa Rita. I was in a maximum security wing of a place everybody calls Big Greystone because the buildings are made of this drab gray stone. Huey tried to visit me in Sacramento County Jail shortly after I went and to serve my sentence in August 1967, but when Huey arrived, I had been transferred down to Greystone. I remember Huey saying to me just before I went to jail, quote, "You can do 6 months for the party. Can't you?" "Sure, I can," I told Huey. "I can do it easily." On the morning of October 28th, 1968, I was lying on my bunk inside one of those jive cells they have at Big Greystone. Suddenly, someone hollered, "Bobby Seale, Bobby Seale." It was one of the trustees walking on the catwalk above me. "Bobby Seale, where are you at?" "Quote unquote." He called. I said, "Over here in cell 82. This cat walked up and said, "Two Panthers had a shootout and one cop is dead and one of your boys got wounded, I think." I said, "What? You know who it was?" He said, "No, we don't know. We don't have any information on who it was yet. They shot him though." That's what one of the bulls said. A lot of names flashed in my head, but not Huey's. I thought it might be Sherman Fort, Bobby Hutton, Reggie Fort, um, Orlando Harrison, any one of the brothers who went to Sacramento with us. Who could it be? Who could it have been? Who could have been shot? I remember saying to myself, I knew the Oakland Tribune would have the information. That's the only thing they let you read in jail. They just cram that junk right down your throat and they won't let any other papers in. I waited, reading some portions of a book, waiting for the newspaper. Finally, around 12 o'clock, the trustee brought a paper. There was Huey P. Newton's picture on the front page. He was on a stretcher. The paper said he had been shot. At first, I worried if he was all right. I read the pig's lying story. Then I thought about getting the brother out. They were going to charge Brother Huey with murder. All kinds of schemes went through my mind about busting up the jail or busting up the court. He had to appear in court, and I thought about the walking and I thought about walking in there and blasting away at every judge, every bailiff, yeah, bailiff, um, and the clerk, just blasting at all the pigs, walking over to Huey and walking out. I had scenes in my head of crowds of people in the court, and while Huey was in there in the crowd of people, I would dress up like a woman. I'd put some kind of dress on him and let him walk out with another dude disguised as man and wife. The pigs would never figure that out, I thought.
That
Oh, that's
sounds
fucking
good.
nuts. That sounds like a solid ass plan.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember that Huey had told me many times that he never wanted a murder charge where you have to be on death row. He would describe death row as a form of righteous torture. You sit on death row 3, 4, or 5 years, not knowing when you're going to die. That that in itself is torture, but the real torture comes, he said, when they're about to walk you up to the gas chamber in 5 or 10 minutes before the time of execution, somebody would give you a stay of execution for 1 month or 1 year. He said that's righteous torture. That's fucking disgusting. Jesus Christ.
But that's how they work. That's
That's how
to
they
say
work.
that's the concentration camp.
Yup,
That's the
and
concentration
and
camp.
and the fact that they use shit like gas chambers, same as the fucking Nazis did. That's fucking disgusting.
But
Fucking
once
hell.
again, you wonder why US and Germany have that connection because of
hmm
this.
Not the Nazis were directly inspired by U.S. settler colonialism and imperialism and what they did to the colonized people. They weren't directly inspired by westward expansion.
Like literally to the point, even down to the swastika. Because in case any of y'all watching this don't know, the swastika came from indigenous people of this continent. As a matter of fact, the Kuna people of modern day Panama and Colombia, their flag has a swastika. That swastika has been with them for years, until Hitler stole it and made those people give up use of the swastika in certain ways because now it's associated with genocide.
It's still used here in indigenous textiles as a repeating pattern. It's known as the rolling log.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make it very clear. The swastika did not come from the Nazis first. It came from native people.
That was stolen,
first.
co-opted.
It was stolen. The swastika is stolen.
It was also used in Buddhist symbolism too, as a symbol of peace.
Yeah.
Sean,
I mean, that has been around for years and years until Nazi Germany came about.
Right. They thought they could steal that shit to use it as like a symbol of unity for their racist bullshit. Go ahead, Sean.
Exactly. Once again, white supremacy is the death of culture. It's the co-opting, erasure, and genocide of culture and turning into hatred. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's just
Pardon me, ladies. I do have my hand up, and Sister Zen did call on me.
Twice.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Go for it.
So as far as I know, there's between 12 and 15 cultures that have at least an 8,000-year history with the swastika, or at least, that symbol. In pretty much every single one of them, it's all positive. Here in North America, that symbol was actually, if you look at the Big Dipper as it rotates through all 4 seasons, it actually turns 45 degrees every season, so that it winds up actually making a nighttime sky swastika. And all it is literally the cycle of the seasons as we hurtle through space.
That's how it was before the Nazis fucking co-opted it.
That's why it was common amongst so many ancient cultures that were observing the stars. Comrade Shay, I saw you pop your hand up. What's up, Comrade?
Yeah, I wanted to just make a comment in reference to the gas chambers and all that other shit that they talk about. In the 30s, or I think in the 20s, I'm not sure, there was this young kid, black kid, I think he was 11 years old, where he was taken to the electric chair, and they executed him. And I think that 30 years later, they found out that he was innocent. He was accused of, I
remember that.
I think he was accused of some white girl, something that he's supposed to have done, which he didn't. But a lot of black brothers, man, in the early 30s and early 20s, being accused also of either looking at a white woman or touching a white woman. They were being accused. But this young kid, yeah, his name was George something.
George Steiny.
Oh, George something. Oh, I thought you were talking about
Carolina. From South Carolina.
I thought you were talking about Emmett Till. That's what I thought you were referring to.
What was his name, Shanti?
George Steiny from Pinewood,
Yeah,
South Carolina.
yeah,
So
Mm.
literally put two and two together here. 14
Mm-hmm.
African in the Deep South at
Being
that
accused
time,
of something he didn't fucking do.
and was a child. And we think that, reforming the prison system is just going to make it all go away. No, no, because that only tells his ancestors to make nice. His name was George Steiny. At 14. 14.
yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
May
And
he
he
rest
was
in
a,
power.
he was a small brother too. He was small.
Mm-hmm. He was.
He was.
He was only
Matter of fact,
14.
he sat in the electric chair with his with his Bible in his hand.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
they
did.
had to sit him on a bunch of books to make him even
Yeah.
reach the apparatus used in the electric
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yep. Yep.
That's sad.
Yep.
That's fucked up.
Yep.
Damn it.
But we live in the land of the free, right? Fucking bullshit.
Not. It's not. It's not. It's not.
So I don't know if
No,
y'all
it was.
noticed every time
We
I
will
typing out
one
the
day.
word freedom, I type it out FREEDUMB because you're dumb if you think you actually got fucking freedom here.
The only people who have freedom in this country are the bourgeois. Those are the only people who have actual fucking freedom because that's what the society is catered to. It's catered to the bourgeois. That's what the socioeconomic system is designed for their benefit and their benefit load. To uphold their class interests.
Indeed.
That's
All right,
all it
let's
is.
hop back into the text though.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say as well. I'm gonna read the last big paragraph and I'm gonna have to go, unfortunately.
Okay.
I began to intensely count my days left in jail so that I could get out and work to get Huey free. I was scheduled, as far as I knew, to get out of this jail sometime between January 8th and the 15th. It wasn't very clear. I'd gone to jail on August 8th and on that Sacramento bus. It was now October 28th, and I had to wait all the way till January 8th to get out. I had to read the papers. I had to also read about the protests over police brutality about a week or two before, in which the pigs busted up the heads of the anti-draft demonstrators who went forth to close down the draft office in Oakland. Chief Gain and his pigs, the highway patrolmen, and others from surrounding cities beat the heads of these peaceful demonstrators. They were peaceful demonstrators. They'd sit down in front of the draft office peacefully, but Chief Gain and the pigs wanted to beat their heads. These demonstrators called a press conference after what had happened to Brother Huey and said that the racist dog policeman who attacked Huey P. Newton must be removed and Huey must be freed. Solidarity and support were shown in this article. They said that the pigs who jumped on the anti-draft demonstrators in Oakland there were the same pigs who vamped on Huey. Not fucking surprised. The demonstration at the induction center had taken place a few weeks before. All right, I gotta go, y'all. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see everyone later. Love you guys. All power and love.
I'll finish it.
Right on.
Peace and
See you
blessings,
guys.
Jay.
I also read that Judge Stott held court to arraign and charge Huey in the hospital room where he was getting better from the gunshot wound. Some Panther brothers were also gone into the hospital, but they were surrounded. The pigs asked them what they wanted, and the Panther brothers said, we come to get Huey. 6 or 7 brothers got busted. These brothers really love Huey. It came to get Minister of Defense. It came to see about Huey, to set Huey free. A pig jumped up with a shotgun in front of them, stopped them and asked them, what you want? And some of the Panthers dedicated to the revolutionary struggle, dedicated to the liberation of Black people, looked at this pig and told him, we come to get Huey. The pigs must have shit. These were crazy Panthers. Sunday morning, when you're in jail, you had to go to the day room to hear some puritanical thinking. Christian preacher preach a bunch of bullshit about how we were wrong, and we must seek the Lord. Oh God, how ironic can this shit get? Here's some preacher in the day room cell with over 200 cats crowded in. This guy is just bubbling out of the mouth, and the brothers aren't even listening to him. There are guards standing on each side telling you to be quiet and listen. You get mad at those pigs, especially when you got a minister of defense like you. You get mad when you know there's a hell of a revolutionary leader who wants to get the land and bring it back to the people. You just want to break out of that joint. You want to go do something about Huey. That's the way you feel. There were a lot of brothers in jail who suddenly all wanted to be Panthers. They had listened to me before, but now they wanted to be Panthers. They saw there was hope. They looked at Huey as a hero of the people. He was so beautiful. He'll turn around and tell the people, you the heroes, people. So let's unite, go forth in unity so we can get land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and some peace. I thought and wondered and read the papers and schemed about what to do for Huey. There were demonstrations for Huey, and people showed up in court. People jammed into the courtroom, and 200 people besides jammed the hallways. They had literature and information concerning Huey P. Newton. They wanted him to be set free, cut loose. They ran down how unjust this racist decadent system is and said it couldn't do this to Huey. I made up my mind and said that when I got out, I was going to work myself to the bone, harder than I ever had before. Our first objective and first goal, working with Eldridge and the other Panthers, would be to mobilize 5,000 people standing around in the courthouse for Huey. Then, if necessary, we might have to bust him out of jail because Huey got to be set free somehow. That's what I was saying. That is the way I felt. That's what I became dedicated to as I sat there in jail, waiting to get out. 5 weeks later, I was talking to Huey. Good. I had to appear in court a couple of times, sometimes around the latter part of November. They transported me from Greystone to county jail in downtown Oakland. I was in Tank B and he was in Tank A. He sent a couple of messages around to me, like power to the people. The brother also sent me some cigarettes. That was kind of funny when I thought of it. Here's this brother on a murder charge, which Huey never wanted, and he sent me cigarettes. I had another court date, December 8th. Once again, they drove me from Greystone to the jail in Oakland where the court was, and they put me in Tank B. I knew Tank B was next to Tank C. That's the hospital tank where I figured Huey was. I knew that you could holler from Tank B to Tank C too, although you couldn't see anybody. I asked Trusty, is Huey Newton still in Tank C, the hospital tank? He said, yes, he is. Then I went to bars as close as I could get to the tank. See, and started hollering, hey, Huey. Yeah, he said, this is Bobby. Hey, man. The brothers, the brother was glad to be able to talk, and I was glad to be able to talk to him. He told me about a few things that happened, a few things that he read in the papers about some brothers getting in a shootout with some pigs, and how the pigs ran the car. He ran down how I wasn't to say anything around a couple of drive trustees who he knew would turn words around and snitch to the man. And I told him how the pigs came out to the jail 3 days after he'd been shot, and how they were trying to say that I knew where the nine millimeter gun was that Huey was supposed to have had, and that he got shot. I told Huey I had nothing to say to the pig, that I took the Fifth Amendment on it. One of them was a bootlegger pig who acted like he was wanted to jump me. So I just backed up against the wall and braced myself and got ready to fight the pig right in the middle of this giant 7x7 Greystone cell. Huey and I holler around there in the open jail, talking to each other for a long time. And then I had to go downstairs and appear in court. They brought me back upstairs around noon, and one of the trustees told me that I would be able to see Huey in a few minutes. I said, what? He said, yep, because they bring him around to Tank B in the aisle over there. The entrance is to the side. I said, right on, brother, right on. I get to see brother UP Newton. That's good, that's good. I was really happy. I really wanted to see the brother because I haven't seen him since August 8th, the day I went to jail. I wanted to see how he was doing. He walked around and he looked like he was pretty good shape. He lifted his hands to the boss, and we grabbed each other's hand, shook each other's hands right real tight and hard. I mostly just wanted to look at the brother and see if he was all right because he was out of sight. It was just good to see him. It was just a fitting thing for me. I felt like we were close to some kind of freedom for you. When I saw the cat, we had to free Huey. The next time I came up to court, I saw him again. I was in the day room, and he was locked in an aisle in the hallway. He walked up to the end of the aisle and spoke to that chicken shit hole that the pig set up for visitors. I said, go on and talk and take your visit, brother. It was good to see him. I looked and saw some other visitors. His girlfriend left, Vern and Orlando, and the others to that little hole on my side. They all came over to see me after visiting with Huey. When we were hollering before the visitors came, Huey had asked me how long I had to go. I told him that I might be out January 8th, January 15th, as close as I could figure. I said, well, brother, you got to be set free. Something got to be done, and we're going to have to do it. I hope I can do it. He reassured me. You can do it, Bobby. You can put it together. You and others and everyone, you can do it. It made me feel good. I had to relate to that because I had believed and understood I could do something to help the brother get free. You you sit in Greystone in 7x4 cell all day, then you move, then they move you and put you in another 7x7 cell. They let you go the day they let you go to the day room with every 3 days. In the course of an hour, you go to the day room, take a shower, shave, and then they put you in another one of those same 7x7 somewhere. You get used to it, especially when you know you haven't got too much time to do. A lot of cats naturally get pissed off at Greystone. I, I took some I took mine out on thinking about the organization and what I would do for the organization and for the revolutionary struggle. During those last weeks, October 28th to October 20, to December 8th, I thought about ways to free Huey Newton and about the fact that we had to get this brother free somehow or other. This brother got to get cut loose. He got to beat this case because these pigs are trying to jack him up, and we trying to jack the Panthers, and they trying to jack the Panthers party up. On December 8th, I came after I came back from court. They called me out of the bullpen, and I walked back down the hall to change out of my civilian clothes that I used to appear in court back in those regular jail clothes. There are 3 security prisons. They are really big. Greystone, which is maximum security, 7x7 cells, and Santa Rita Farm for sentenced inmates, or Little Greystone, where there's barracks and compounds, maximum security, and you can walk around. Most of the cats in the big Greystone have felony cases or have gotten into fights and have been put over there. Mostly those in Little Greystone have smaller cases and are sentenced. I know one thing though, that routine of going back and forth to court. If you go to Big Greystone, you haven't allowed to wear any shoes. When you go to Little Greystone, you put on shoes because you walk around. The shoes are very what? Significant. I stepped forward. I stepped forward, took off my coat, and the pig wrote down the color of my jacket, my slacks, and my pinstripe brown shirt. He looked at the list of the jail clothes I was supposed to get and said, "Shoes?" I said, "No, you got it wrong. No shoes. I'm Big Greystone." "Nope." He said, "Here it says shoes." "Uh-huh." I said, "I'm in Big Greystone. You got it wrong." He said, "Shoes, Seale." I said, "All right." They have some special shoes they give you. Boom, guns. I told the pig, "Wait a minute, I have to wear shoes." He said, "Yep." I said, "I'm going to Little Greystone." He said, "Yeah, I guess so," in a real snotty way. I said, "Well, then I can't wear those balloons." I took my sock off and showed him my left foot. My left foot is about 3 inches, quarters of an inch shorter than my right foot because I was hit in a car by a car when I was 13. I said, "This is skin grafts you see on the top of my foot. Those goons will rub the skin grafts, and the next thing you know, I'll run around infected. The shoes are too heavy. I'd rather wear my regular civilian shoes." So he said, "Okay, let's go." So I dressed, put my shoes on, climbed on the wagon. He took me over to Little Greystone, dropped me off, and assigned me to one of those jive-ass barracks with barbed wire fences around it. I went inside looking for Warren Tucker because he was supposed to be serving time there. I couldn't figure the switch out, and I really wanted to talk to Tucker. I inquired around, asking all the brothers if they had seen a Black Panther named Warren Tucker, but they wouldn't know him. So I settled back to get my bunk straight and get bedding from the trustee. Bedding, yeah. Some brothers were singing some soul music. It was nice the way they were putting the harmony to it, putting the real soul into it. I lay there listening to them about 45 minutes, thinking about Brother Huey and about how we were going to get him out. Then one of the guards walked inside the barrack and said, "Seale." I said, "Yeah." "Let's go. You bailed out. You out on bail. I said, huh? You got that wrong. Oh man, make me feel good. uh, Seal. My name is Seal. That's right. Well, it's supposed to be Seal. You got the wrong man. I can't get out of jail till January 8th. Maybe you're looking for somebody else with the same name as mine, who got a name similar to mine. Some brother said, "There's a cat in here named Seals. That's who you're looking for, man." I said, "Well," the bull said, "I don't know. Let me go check." I rolled over and almost fell asleep. And about 5 or 10 minutes later, the pig came back. Let's go, Seal. It's you. Now just wait a goddamn minute, I said. You dudes got Huey P. Newton in jail. You dudes didn't, you dudes pulled all kinds of schemes to mess up our party, to mess, to mess up black people, to kill them and murder them. I don't have nothing to do with that, he said. Regardless of that, I ran on. You telling me I'm supposed to be out of jail, out on bail, and say I can't be out of bail because I can't get out until January 8th. I'm going to be honest. You know, that me and a lot of people want to free you, and we want to do a lot of work in the black community. Get rid of the pigs. Your cats want to do is to say I'm out on bail. Take me somewhere, say I escaped, and then give me a year and a half or so later. I don't know anything about that, Seal. You just come on. All right, goddamn it, let's go. But I know damn well I can't get out of jail till January 8th, and that's even with good time. I can't get out of jail till January 8th. I ran it I ran it down to her. I got sentenced to 6 months. It's impossible for me to get out. I went I went in August 8th, and then now it's only December 8th. That's the only time I can get out is by January 8th, and that's with 30 damn good days of good time. I argued with that cat. I didn't believe him, but I jumped up and put on my shoes. We walked all the way to the discharge place. I argued with the lieutenant. I argued with the captain. I argued with the sergeant and everybody else. I wanted to see some definite proof to show me teletype messages from Sacramento where I've been sentenced, which said they couldn't hold me any longer, that my time was up. I snatched that teletype message and looked at it. Meanwhile, some more brothers were coming through the bullpen. I told them, "Hey, brothers, remember, you see this charge here. It says I'm out of jail, and I wasn't expecting to get out of jail till January. But you remember that all those cops came down here and said I was supposed to get released. You remember that, you hear?" The brother said, "Right on, brother, right on. We understand." Brothers, I'll catch you later on. Then I said to the pigs, "Okay, let's go." The pigs were very upset about why Bobby Seale wasn't going to leave jail. I was tired of the pigs and the power structure scheming on us. I was very apprehensive about them saying I was discharged because I didn't really believe it. I called my father and waited for an hour and a half. He came out and picked me up and took me home. My wife was in the car when I saw her. I remember that I told her that she was going to have to be ready to sacrifice when I got out of jail. She said she understood. Now she was in the car, and she brought little Staggerly with her. He was about a year and a half old. I had to, to get used to the idea that all of a sudden I was out of jail on my way home. I had to do a hell of a lot of things now to try to get Huey out of jail. Before, I just been sitting in the cell day after day thinking about things to be done. But now it was time to implement them. UPM always said, unite theory and practice. Unite your ideas with practice by applying those ideas. Of course, the first thing I decided to do when I got out of jail was to make love with my wife. Then I called everybody else up. I can be bad. It can be bad for a man behind mine when he's locked up and taken away from good loving, good schooling. Oh God. I believe that was it. Uh, Executive mandate number one, statement by the Minister of Defense, delivered May 2nd, 1967 at Sacramento, California State Capitol. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense called upon American people in general and the Black people in particular to take careful note of the racist California legislature that is now considering legislature aimed at keeping the Black people disarmed and powerless at the very same time that racist police agencies throughout the country are intensifying the terror, brutality, murder, and repression of Black people. At the same time that the American government is waging a racist war of genocide in Vietnam, the concentration camps in which Japanese Americans were interned during World War II were being renovated and expanded. Since America has historically reserved the most barbaric treatment for non-white people, we are forced to conclude that these concentration camps are being prepared for Black people who are determined to gain their freedom by any means necessary. The enslavement of Black people from the very beginning of this country, the genocide practiced under American Indians, and the confining of the survivors on reservations, the savage lynching of thousands of Black men and women, the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, now the cowardly massacre in Vietnam, all testify to the fact that towards people of color, the racist power structure of America has but one policy: repression, genocide, terror, and big stick. Black people have begged, prayed, petitioned, demonstrated, and everything else to get the racist power structure of America to right the wrongs which have historically been perpetrated against Black people. All of these efforts have been answered by more repression, deceit, and hypocrisy. As the aggression of the racist American government escalates in Vietnam, the police agencies of America escalate the repression of Black people throughout the ghettos of America. Vicious police dogs, cattle prods, and increased patrols have become familiar sights in Black communities. City Hall turns a deaf ear to the pleas of Black people for relief from the increasing terror. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense believes that the time has come for Black people to arm themselves against this terror before it's too late. The pending Melford Act brings the hour of doom one step nearer. People who have suffered so much for so long at the hands of a racist society must draw the line somewhere. We believe that the Black communities of America must rise up as one man to halt the progression of the trend that leads inevitably to their total destruction. On October 28th, 1967, there was an early morning gun battle between Huey P. Newton and two policemen. Huey was wounded seriously. One policeman, Sean Frick, was killed, and the other, Huey Haynes, was seriously injured.
I believe that is the end of that chapter.
It's the end of that chapter there.
I need to at least pause for the cause for a couple of minutes because my dogs are over here doing the fucking pee-pee dance. So my apologies for the take them outside right quick. I will be right back, but if y'all want to dive into the discussion, go for it, and I will rejoin you in just a few minutes.
Right.
Okay, there's that. All right, I'll be right back. Okay. She's very insistent. I hear you.
Go to the bathroom. That's Comrade Shanti.
Yeah, hey.
Have you ever been to New York?
I was supposed to go for my 16th birthday and then COVID happened. So, but I'm still planning on going. I'm still planning on going. I really want to go to Williamsburg, Harlem, and the Heights.
Oh, okay. You talk about my neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
I was born and raised in Williamsburg.
Oh, cool. See, I know I was doing something. Yeah, that's definitely part of the bucket list because I know there's a lot of Boricua liberation collectives out there, and I follow a lot of them. So like, definitely want to connect with them as well when I eventually get there.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah,
I haven't been in my old neighborhood many years. About 25 years I haven't been in my neighborhood.
really 25. It's a long time.
Yeah, I moved out and I went to live in Westchester. I went to live in Westchester, Westchester County, and up from Westchester County to upstate. So that's where I'm at now. I mean, I'm in Dominican Republic, but I live in 20 minutes away from Canada.
Oh wow, all the way up there.
I know there's a lot of racist rednecks, and I hate to use it that term, but that's what they are. You
Yeah,
know, they're out here, but
yeah,
there's a lot of good white people too. But
yeah. Right.
I just gotta, I was walking down the street one day, man, and one a racist one came up to me because I had my mask. Remember when we had that mask for the COVID? You
Yeah.
had to cover your nose and your mouth. So this guy came up to me. He said, "Why you got that on your face?" I said, "Man, to protect myself." He said, "For who?" I said, "For you." He said, "Why?" I said, "You must be one of Trump's people." He said, "Yes, I am." I said, "No wonder." I said, "No wonder. I'm protecting myself from you." And he
Yeah.
looked at me, man, and he looked like he had mental problems, man. So he went on his way, man. Cause I said to myself, if he comes up at me, man, I'm gonna hit him, man. You know, I'm
You're
gonna
right.
hit him. Cause I went to back in when 1998, I went to a Ku Klux Klan march in North Carolina, and I was it was a Ku Klux Klan again, a march against the Ku Klux Klan. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
And I was in front of a classman. He was standing right in front of me, and I stood. I said, if this guy even moves, I'm gonna kick him right in the, where. you know, but we had it was a march against the Klan. You know,
Right.
and I said, damn man, Klan ain't jiving, man. When you go up against the Klan, you gotta be ready.
Yeah. Like you really got to be ready, especially back then. Like, really need to be ready. So,
Yeah, I mean, just look, and speaking of the autobiography of Malcolm X, I was one of the first. Well, not the first, but when I went to jail, when I was 14, I went to jail, and I got, about 4 or 5 years later, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and that woke me up.
oh
You
yeah,
know, I mean, it
every
woke
month proletariat's first book.
Yeah, it woke me up and made me see reality, man.
Yeah, because it speaks to a lot of lumping people, especially lumping children who are in the slave plantations, the prisons, and it's every one of y'all's first book. Like, if you're a revolutionary today, most likely your first true awakening was the autobiography of Malcolm X, and because Malcolm X is from a lumpen background, in Omaha, which still has a pretty big African population there. The racism in Omaha is still persisting, obviously, and
Yeah.
the that Malcolm's mother is from Grenada in the Caribbean, and his father is from Georgia, I believe. That multi-layered ancestral part really played a big role, in his upbringing, in his philosophy, and you know, that's every lumpen proletariat, every African lumpen proletariat's first book is
Yeah.
autobiography because it speaks to people, it speaks to you.
Yeah.
So you owe that a lot. You owe a lot to that book because I mean, if it wasn't for that autobiography, there would not be that breakthrough that y'all would have because we already talked
Yeah.
about that Brown Beret's book in the Voices of the Revolution book yesterday. So that's every one of y'all's first book.
Yeah. When I came home when I came home, I went down to 42nd Street and I saw it in the theater. You know what was playing? The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
have that.
man, I got to see this, and I went and paid and walked in and sat down to look at it.
Yeah, I have the book. I have the book right here. I have the book right here. I haven't read it yet. I have to read it.
You
I
got
have
to read it. You got to read it.
I know because a lot of people say that it's very, very iconic. So I got to read it. I have to read it because I already have the book and it's been sitting on my shelf for a year. I don't know why. So I'm definitely
And
gonna.
Down These Mean Streets also. That's another good book you need to read.
Ooh, what book?
Down These Mean Streets.
Oh yeah, I have that. I think I have that on the list too. So I definitely need to check that out because that's the Boricua. Um
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely check it out because that's on the list. That's on the list. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm getting to everybody.
I'm curious
Oh
what book you're
God.
talking about having just added to the list. Your
Um
revolutionary library grows.
I know, it's so crazy. We were talking about the spook who sat by the door and down these mean streets.
Right on. Hell yeah. Are these books that you can get like a free PDF from to be able to bring
Yeah,
in on the book club?
yeah, most of them.
No.
Most of them. Most of them.
Have you read
Read
You're
what?
it out, Shay. Your face is frozen too. Like, oh, you're moving again.
No,
We
I
should
was
be.
gonna say gonna say that Conrad Shanti
Yeah.
have you read what was, oh God, I forgot the name. Oof, I forgot. It just blanked out.
You're good. You're good. I mean I read a lot of books, so just tell me to tell and I'll give you an answer.
What about Black Power?
Um I actually Kwame Ture. I actually stole
Yeah.
it from my terrible ass high all boys high school senior year. So it was like those boys were literally laying books around and I just took them. And it was Black Power was one of the books that I took and I read a bit of it. I read a bit of it the same day I took it home and I wasn't really too into Kwame Ture at the time because I was a senior in high school, so this was before all of this. This was way before all this right here. So I didn't pay it any much mind. And then when I got back from school back in May, when I got with the Young Lords, that was when I really started paying attention to Kwame Ture. And, you know, it was essentially what he was saying in Black Power. And I definitely got to read Black Power by itself, definitely. But,
That's good.
it's
a good book too, man.
oh, I know because a lot of my other comrades be referencing that book. So definitely got to check it out soon.
Hell yeah. I like that they pointed out in this chapter too. Well, Bobby referred to him as Stokely Carmichael, but that's Kwame Ture that he
Yeah.
was referring to. You
Yeah.
know, of being another
Well, he
inspiration
named
force.
changed his name.
Yeah, he did.
He changed his name after he I think what 68
I believe
when he
so.
was working with Guame and Fuma.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. That makes sense because I think the all I think the All African People's Revolutionary Party, which is still up and kicking to this day, I support them wholeheartedly. I think they came out, I believe, 1962, 1963, and um Kwame, or at that time Stokely, was doing a lot of work with that party. And I think that was when he changed his name to Kwame Ture, I believe. It was kind of like that
Yeah,
reawakening. It was a reawakening that he had. And so, like, that name is very, very synonymous. Very, 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 very synonymous with him. So that makes sense.
Indeed. He was an inspiration. I would really love to dig into some of his books. Like I've only ever read excerpts. And
Wait until you watch his lectures. Wait
yeah,
until you his speeches, because I think he's one of my biggest inspirations for my delivery, I would say, because I watch Haunani K Trask and Kwame Ture religiously, like literally religiously. Like it's not even funny. Like, just for revolutionary inspiration and stuff like that. And I think I kind of took a page out of Kwame Ture's book and just kind of added it. So,
Ellie. Well, feel free to send some of those videos my way.
oh, I will. Oh, I definitely will.
Shante,
After we're done, I will.
Comrade Shante.
Yeah.
Here's another one for your list. You ready?
Yes.
Pan Africanism or communism
Ooh, who's that by?
by George Padmore.
Oh, wait a minute. Have I heard of him before?
Yeah, he was a Pan Africanist. He did a
Oh,
lot of work in Africa, man. And then
oh,
he went to Europe for a while. And then he came to the United States.
yeah, yeah. I recognize that name now because when I discovered Pan Africanism in seventh grade, his name came up. So, like, I didn't pay it much mind. Only knew about Marcus Garvey because he was the one behind it all. But I didn't really pay much attention to the Pan Africanist text, like until after the uprising. So it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. Pan Africanism or communism, like I'll definitely add that to the list. Don't worry. Don't worry.
He was one of the people who participated in the Bandung Conference. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He was. He was.
Yeah. Uh,
Goodness. Well, we are right about at an hour and a half now. So if anybody has any other thoughts, as far as those books or the junk that we read today, by all means.
I would definitely say, it's very, very interesting that they took inspiration from Bob Dylan, that book, that song that they were playing over and over and over again, because I think it really spoke to the classism and the racism that permeated, especially when the word geek came about, geek, freak, and, those are, political genocidal terms to describe us. And even in the freak shows, because, freak shows, back then, way before the Black Panther Party's time, were on and popping. And, casting off the most so-called exotic and the most weird, most odd of humanity, exploiting them, you know, dehumanizing them, for entertainment. And that was the first true form of entertainment within the US empire. And so they really took a lot of inspiration from Bob, because Bob Dylan was fucking everywhere back then. Like, he was at the damn March on Washington. His music at the time really spoke to the Black Panthers. And, you know, I didn't even know about that origin of that word geek. Like, I just, once again, we thought, we familiarize, geeks with nerds, but it definitely make more sense when you really, really get into it. Bobby just explained it right there. Like, what else can they say? So I definitely love that they took a page out of Bob Dylan's playbook, and that shows the power of music in a revolutionary sense, because, the Vietnam War, this was around the time the Vietnam War was at its highest peak. So it definitely spoke to a lot of people, but especially the Black Panthers, and the fact that they were just listening to that song over and over and over again, and Huey would just interpret it in a way that no one else would have ever thought.
Right. Well, he had a brilliant mind for analysis, and
really,
here Bob was a full-blown ass revolutionary and using his music to share the message, and quite effectively.
Yeah, definitely.
Comrade Shay, I saw
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
I just want to say that the camaraderie love that people have for Huey is indescribable.
Yeah.
Especially with Bobby Seale, how he was so desperate to get out, of jail to do something for Huey. That says a lot for a comrade. A lot.
Oh yeah.
And to me, the Panther Party then, I can't say about now, but then, camaraderie love that they had for each other was beyond understanding, man. People would do anything for a comrade, and that's what we should do. We in turn, that's how we should pick up on those keys, man, that they give us, and instill within each other love for each other, to the point of, giving our love, our lives if need to, for each other. And that's what Chet talked about. Chet said that revolution is guided by great feelings of love. And that's all I got to say.
Absolutely. That's one of those things too that just speaks volumes, like how angry he was that they had even had the audacity to arrest Huey for that and try to charge him with murder, when from the sounds of it, it was fucking self-defense. Like,
it was self-defense.
It don't matter if you got a badge or not. You're fucking assaulting people and shooting them, and you get shot back. That's self-defense.
Yeah. But they don't care about that. They only care about the fact that he is of Black skin, and you know, that class line, you know, they point him out as the devil. And so they, this is all too familiar story with African people here. Those class lines that they've placed on us in order to dehumanize us, to oppress us, to genocide us and steal us from our homeland across the pond. And so, it's the same thing right here. I guess he's too black to defend himself.
Well, they didn't, the system itself having that audacity, having that false sense of entitlement to play it as if, oh, well, if it's a pig shooting you and killing you, you should just lay down and die. You don't get to defend yourself against a pig. Get the fuck out of here.
Right. Like, self-defense by any means, right?
Yep.
That's right. That's right. By any means.
Indeed.
Brother Malcolm knew what he was saying when he said by any means necessary. He knew what he was saying.
Yep.
Because that's the point.
Yeah, the whole thing about self-defense is you're just using as much force in return as is what's necessary to stop the violence that is being bestowed upon you.
Right.
On that note, we are at an hour and a half, so go ahead and wrap up the recording part. If y'all want, I can leave the room open to visit for a while.
Yeah, you can leave it open.
Okay. All right. Well, we will be back on Friday for the second Rainbow Coalition reading group with another section from Johnny Torres's book, Voices of the Revolution. And until then, everyone have a good night. All power.
All power to the people.
There we go.